Okay, so I've got all the intercooler piping fabbed up, tacked together, going from obviously the turbos, the little guy, then over to one of these jokers, goes through the intercooler, goes through the other guy, and then this long one splits, again, kind of by the frame. That way I figure if I welded it all together, it'd be a real pain to get it on and off the truck if we ever had to service anything. So that's why I did that. And how I do these pie cuts, of course I had an extra tubing laying around. That's why the coloration is slightly different on some of them. They're different manufacturers. But what I'll do is once I get everything welded together, I'll just take a piece of red Scotch-Brite and just rub it over everything, kind of give it a uniform look to it. And if it really bugs me, I'll just get them powder coated, but I don't think it'll matter. Once you get a little heat in them and some dirt and stuff, and grease, they'll all look the same. But so anyway, I cut these, you know, using obviously my custom-made vertical bandsaw. Basically just a vise with a Bauer Harbor Freight portable bandsaw clamped in it, and I usually just take a clamp and clamp the trigger on and get after it. I do use, if I'm making a cut on a piece that has, like say for example this piece here is straight, so there was enough, it wasn't in the middle of a corner is what I'm getting at. What I do for those, I have pipe wrap, which is something that, you know, pipe fitters use and people that are doing this quite a bit. So you just wrap it around the pipe and match it back up to itself, and you can give yourself a nice straight line as you draw across it, which helps out a ton. The ones that are in the middle of a corner, I do those a little differently. Actually, I take, if it's a whole piece, what I'll do, if it's a whole 90 or 180 or what have you, I have this guy here, and what you can do is you can lay it on the corner. Say you need to cut this, I don't know, say it needs to be cut roughly there. It doesn't matter where, anywhere. What you can do is you mark it where it needs to be cut, and you can lay this on top of it. And what this does is centers it. So wherever this is on the mandrel, it'll be a 90 degree from, well, I guess, perpendicular line. So what I'll do is I'll take this, lay it on a flat table, nice and flat, put my mark in the center of it, and then I can look down it and mark it on the back side, and look down it, mark it on the front side. And then what I'll do is I'll lay the piece of mandrel tubing on a table, draw as straight a line as I can between the two of them, and then flip it over and do the same thing. And then as I put it in the bandsaw, I'll just make sure I'm real particular about keeping the blade on the black line, or whatever color marker you're using. I use black marker. And that way it's pretty straight. And then if there is a little bit of the, if the cut is slightly crooked, what I'll do is I'll take and sand it on the belt sander here, which again I think is a Harbor Freight, I don't know, whatever brand that is. Central Machinery. It works really well. It eats belts pretty well, so what I do is I'll buy them from Amazon or whatnot, and that way I'll get a nice flat surface again, so when I weld the pieces together I'll have minimal gaps. So it does help quite a bit. And then also too, if you find maybe if you cut in the center of this bend, this piece will be deformed slightly. It won't be perfectly round, because as they draw it over the mandrel, you know, it sort of crushes in the top and the bottom, and then the sides will be outward. So what I'll do to try to make that the same is I have a plastic hammer for metal shaping, and then I'll just try to massage the piece round again, right? As round as I can get it, at least. I mean, this is aluminum, so you can have a bit of a, you know, difference, and it's okay. It feels really well. I have a super old Syncrowave 250 TIG welder with a really nice Speedway torch on it. I've had it for many, many years. It's just a workhorse, just works great. So if you guys find one of these at a, you know, estate sale, or maybe an old machine shop closing up, it's just an old Syncrowave 250. It runs on 240 single phase. You can also configure it to run it on 480. I have 3-phase here at the shop, but I don't use it for that. I just use single phase, and it's completely fine. You can even use it at your house, but I recommend with a pretty stout breaker, because if you're welding aluminum, you're going to want at least a 100 amp breaker. So anyway, just figured to give you guys a little point. I'm going to put the camera down, do a couple welds, and that way hopefully this will be banged out today. Alright, so this is a piece of tubing that's going to go from the turbo down to another silicone connector, which will include, will continue down to the intercooler piping. So it's smooth, but I want to put a bead in it. So what I found is if you take a marker, this is like some, I don't know, maybe 60,000 stick aluminum, just using as a shim. So what I do is I'll take and put it down and then trace around it, and it'll give me a nice straight line to follow as I put the bead back in it. Okay, and I'm going to do both sides. This piece is flat because I cut it straight as I could, and then I have a belt sander to smooth it out. So alright, so we have our two lines. Okay, so sorry about the angle, it's a bit odd, I know, but at least show you what I'm doing here. So I got an old style, I don't know, it's a Woodward Fab bead roller. I got a piece of plate clamped to it so that way these doesn't have a whole lot of deflection to them. Got my the smallest bead roller I have as far as the rounds are concerned. So what I usually do is I'll pinch it down until it touches it, and then I'll go like one turn in, one full turn in. That way I can get a good baseline of where I need to be as far as this bead is concerned. And I just keep the marker line right in the center of the convex pulley, and I'll go all the way around, make sure it's nice and even. Try to look at it as straight as I can. I mean, this isn't super critical, but I feel that if you take a couple of extra minutes to do this, the results will be a little better. So alright, so it's just starting to form it, so I'll go ahead and do like another, let's go 3/4. And I put a little up pressure on it, that way I'm equal on the, I think they call these anvils or something like that. You guys are smarter than I am. Just, again, follow along. You can, the good thing is when you make your first pass, it'll put a definitive scribe line all the way around the piece of aluminum. This stuff's pretty soft, so it marks up pretty easy. So usually I'll make a pass, and that's got a decent lip on it. I don't want to make it too large that it won't fit over the silicone coupler won't fit over it. So maybe just go like 1/4 at this point. That way I can just really send it home and make a nice factory style bead in the end of this intercooler piping. So yeah, that's perfect. So then I'll just back this guy off, pick up, there you go, perfectly done. Look at that, looks factory. So I just do that on every single one that will have a silicone coupler on it. Have to do that about 40 more times.